Welcome to Behind the Play, a video and podcast product of The Hoop Show that explores the lives of Geelong players past and present, as well as the off-field figures that are keeping us Geelong strong. My name is Paul James, and today my hosting abilities are completely outmatched by the wonderful Catriona Rowntree that is joining me today. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, and you're doing a wonderful job. So
don't worry, the other foot will drop soon.
Be authentic, be yourself. You're fantastic as you are.
Thank you very much. It is awesome to have you on the show today and to pick your brain about your experiences with footy, your experiences on Getaway and everything you've been accomplishing in your own personal and professional life over the years. I'm really looking forward to this, so thank you so much for coming aboard.
Well, that is said with feeling because we have had to wait for this. We have tried to catch up so long, and I was literally in the North Pole, and we really tried to do the chat from there. And then I think that you had to do something with your children, and for me, I do spend a lot of time on the road, so I need to let everybody know. You won't be surprised, I am on the road right now, and just over there, that's my suitcase.
There's the suitcase. So if you need any further proof, there it is. Yeah, it's been especially on, I guess, for anyone watching or listening, going behind the scenes a little bit, we've got Ben, who people would know as part of this channel, who's kind of the Hoop Show himself and has been kind of the primary person that's been talking to you about the show itself and putting it all together. So every now and then I'd get these little updates because he's maybe chatted with you and, she's in the Arctic, she's doing this. I'm like, sorry, and you think like we're going to be able to make this work? Yes, yeah, everything sounded, and I'm like, this is incredible. And I mean,
I don't know Ben. I only know Ben from our chats.
Yeah, various DMs or whatever.
And that he's a can-do kind of guy, which means he's my kind of guy. Because I'm like, why not? Sure, let's do it. How cool would it be to be in the North Pole and to be in the Arctic and have a chat? So I'm not sure if he has children.
Yes, he does. They're a bit older than mine. I think they're
what it was, right?
Teens, I believe. Sorry, Ben, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe teens. So I know he's been taking a couple of them off to junior soccer recently. So they're at least a bit older than my own for sure.
Okay, well I must pay credit to Ben because he has been wonderful and he has made this happen.
Yeah. All credit to Ben. You've done an incredible job, and I guess we get to enjoy the product of that. So.
Do you know what? I like about Ben? Is he is obviously the sort of person that owns the concept. Just ask. What's the worst that can happen? Say no, and you ask somebody else. I really like that attitude. I really like that concept. I'm definitely at one with that concept as well. And that seems to be the way that he operates, and that's how you and I and everybody else are
we get here. This? Yeah, it's worked out perfectly. And I guess that kind of go out and get him approach is also something that, I mean, you've obviously just spoken about how much you respect that yourself, but it's, I guess, very much a big part of what you do in your professional life, just going out there and going out and seeing this or going out and doing that. It's a pretty cool way to be, and it's a pretty awesome lifestyle that I guess you get to enjoy. And we maybe before we even dive into the footy side of things, which of course for anyone watching and listening, that is the core of what we're getting at here, but let's really wade into, I mean, how long has it been now on Getaway? 25 plus years? 26
years. And when you're in TV, let me tell you, every year counts. Every year counts. So I've been 26 years on Getaway, and some of your older generation may know that I also started out on Triple J.
Yes.
What's Up Doc, and for me, what I really like about what I've done is that anyone can do it. I never went to university. I was hopeless at school. I need to be careful about saying that because
I'm a teacher.
Oh gosh,
it's okay. It gives you the opportunity to censor your words first.
I do need to censor that. Actually thinking about one of my sons, I need to be really careful because I think I've manifested how normal I was in another child. But anyway, I know that a lot of people possibly look at maybe people on TV and think, I'd love to do it, but there's no way that I could do it. And I would just encourage people to definitely follow their passion, make their passion their profession. And and if I can do it, anyone can do it. And I really love to encourage people to follow their heart in that manner, whether it's sport, whether it's running a restaurant or whatever. But that's definitely what I did. And there was nothing to recommend me. I did not know anyone in the industry. I'm not a model. I've never been on reality TV, and I never went to uni. So you can do it too.
Yeah, I think it's the beautiful nature of, I mean, just, you know, kind of looking at the 2022 sort of ecosystem that we're in, and the fact that someone can just pick up a camera and, to your point, just kind of pick up a camera and go for it, and you learn lessons, of course, from that. You're not going to be perfect straight out the gate, but you learn from that. You potentially receive a bunch of feedback, and all these things help grow the person and presumably unlocks opportunities for people down the line as well. So it's a really interesting space that we're in currently. And that's obviously quite different to, I mean, you just obviously mentioned Triple J and some of your early experiences there. How did those opportunities first unlock for you in the first place before we even got to Getaway?
Well, I'm a great believer that there's no such thing in Lady Luck. I think that Lady Luck gets more kudos than she deserves. I'm a great believer in opportunity meeting preparation. And for me, I mentioned that when I was at school, I was on permanent detention for talking too much. I was kicked out of school when I was around about, I actually think I was about 13.
Ooh.
And I had a headmistress. I was at a very strict all-girls school, and she said, "You'll never amount to anything because you can't stop talking." And through this horrendous situation, I was led to another school, and the principal looked at me and he goes, "You never know. One day you could be paid to talk." And if I can relate it back to sport, I remember watching video hits when I was about 14, and there was a basketball player that was putting on the videos that day,
Yeah.
and his dad had told him. I just happened to watch the TV this Saturday morning. His dad had told him, "If you can just make your passion your profession." And when I was 14, that really resonated with me. And I met a friend of mine's dad was a radio announcer, and he was driving us home from school one day. We just had to go and meet him in his office, which was this radio station. And he bounded out of this studio and he had the biggest smile on his face. And I realized in that moment, oh my gosh, you can be paid to talk. And I thought, that's what I'm going to do. And I remember telling my school counselor, and she said, "You're never, ever going to be a journalist because you'll never get the marks. You're not pretty enough. You're not smart enough." And I just thought, well, I'll go through the back door. And I remember when I left school, I got into community radio. And for 3 years, every week for 3 years, I sent out my resume. And I remember I started in the community radio, and eventually I auditioned with about 12,000 other people for one of three gigs, one of three roles on a show called Wonder World. Welcome to my Wonder World. And I remember auditioning, and they didn't choose me. They chose this beautiful model over me, and I thought, you're going to rue the day. You will rue the day. And I begged and begged. So there's a lot of begging in my...
There's also seems to be a little bit of an I'll show you sort of approach that's perforating several of these little from the teacher experience, and you talk too much, you'll never be able to this, that, and the other, to that sort of experience there. There seems to be a bit of a trend in that respect as well.
There's a great Napoleon quote that persistence leads to victory. And let's just save time. That totally sums up my career. And you know what? Maybe there's an element of the Cats that connects with that ideology as well. But I am a great believer that I may not be the best at what I do, but my word, I am the most persistent. So I got you there. And I've just stuck at it. And I suppose there's a small element that I hope I can convey, that it's one thing to have the gig, but can you keep the gig? And I know that for me, once I finally broke in, I thought, I want longevity. I love what I do. I want to make this last. I want to make this last for as long as I possibly can. And for me, I never really, probably because I was living at home with my family, but I never really worried too much about the money or the fame or anything like that. I just thought, far out. I just want to keep doing what I love doing. And we're all different and we all have different goals. But for me, that was my goal.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people talk about, enjoy the ride while it lasts and those sort of things, whereas your approach clearly has been, I mean, obviously enjoy as much as you possibly can, but it really seems to be more, let's prolong the ride for as long as I can, which I think can tick both boxes at the end of the day. Like, I mean, so many people talk about, loving what they do, and I presume that's absolutely the case for you. I don't think anyone remains the host of anything for 26 years without loving what they do. Yeah. But you've managed to straddle both spaces there where you both love what you're doing and you are working and working and working to prolong that and ensure that that remains something that you can enjoy for as long as you can.
That's true. And like a lot of people who are listening to this right now, I don't know what else I'd do. I don't have a plan B. I wouldn't be a florist. I don't have the persistence to be a farmer. Yep. Married one, but I know I don't have the physicality to do that. I really do love what I do, and I want to make it last. And I suppose that's something that I hope through our chat today that maybe people will take on board, and that's to consider your legacy and don't just think about the here and now. Think about
down the road.
Where do I want to be down the road, and what will be my legacy, and how do I make this last, and how do I milk everything that I've got in front of me right now and not screw it up.
That's a really awesome way to look at it, and you're right in your reference before. There are a lot of parallels there between what you've just described of yourself and the footy reference here in terms of what we see from Geelong and the way they carry themselves, and certainly a few key figures at the Cats that really, really live and breathe that same sort of ideology, I feel.
I think so too, and that's definitely one of many reasons that I love my team and I admire the players. And I would like to talk about this a little bit later, but
yeah.
I hope that I may as well mention it now, but I'm not going to talk to you today about tactics or anything.
Yeah.
But I would like to represent the women who are very powerful in regards to sport, because we get to choose who our sons will play for, who our children will play for. We are looking for role models, and it is an element that there are many codes they have disregarded. The power of women and the decision makers in the families, and we are genuinely looking for, if I'm going to take my child to the game on the weekend, I don't want to be surrounded by swearing or,
the negative elements that we sadly still hear too much about.
Every day. Oh, and a tiny thing that I wanted to mention, if anyone is interested in legacy, in the way that they carry themselves, but particularly through the prism of sport, I watched a documentary on Richie McCaw. Now, Richie McCaw is considered one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest rugby union player of all time. I'm from a rugby background, and that is one of the great sporting documentaries. However, what I really took from that is be conscious of the way that you carry yourself, the way that you hold yourself, and always have a game plan of what's next. What do I want to parlay these opportunities and these gifts into? Because you've got to think about the physicality of what you do, and when I work in a visual medium, so I have to think about that all the time as well. And it's tenfold being a woman in a visual medium. I cannot tell you the ridiculous amount of emphasis on the way that I look and the way that I present myself. But I take it on board, no complaints. And I just try to be really aware of the way that I carry myself. And I would say to all sportsmen, be a little bit like Richie McCaw in that sense. You are a warrior, and the way that you carry yourself, whether it's walking onto a field or into a boardroom or into a party where you are on your own, your physicality, it can make or break you. And I took from this Richie McCaw documentary, you are a warrior. Hold yourself back, and the way that you carry yourself can be a game changer.
That's really powerful stuff, and I think I might have to. I'm not a rugby person at all, if I'm honest, but that now has become a documentary that I might need to go and check out, because it sounds like the messaging from that is, it's not really sport exclusive. It really sounds like it's something that works in so many levels beyond just the game that people love.
Yeah, that's why it resonated with me, because there was another element where he has, I don't want to give away too much in this doco,
Spoilers.
but he framed his uncle. So he's doing really well at sport, and his uncle goes, well, what's next? You know, you're doing well. What are your goals? Where are you going? And his uncle, they were out at McDonald's or somewhere, and his uncle made him write down his goals on a napkin. And so he, in a sense, manifested what he wanted, where he was going. And years later, he found the napkin and he framed the napkin. And the final goal was GOAT, greatest of all time. And that is what he is. And there are so many elements of just that little nugget that anyone can take something from that, manifest what you want, write down what you want, project what are your goals, what's the outcome. Because let me tell you, whether you are Napoleon, who is like 5 feet tall, or you are Lane Beachley and you're doubting yourself, your mind is your greatest tool.
Yeah.
Sorry, this is going into
no, we're getting incredibly profound, but it's great.
I just think that you know, what we see on the field can be applied to so many elements of our life, and that surely is a reason why we love our sport.
Yeah.
Because we project our hopes and wants onto those athletes, because they have a gift that the average person doesn't have, and we want them to appreciate that gift, because as someone that doesn't have it, we know you better appreciate that.
Maximize it.
And that's why we get really upset with maybe sometimes Kyrgios, or maybe there's an AFL player. We're like, oh God, you're so
if
lucky.
Only. Yeah.
If only, milk it. And of course I have rose-colored glasses on, but I feel that we can point to a handful of our players who are at one with that concept, and I hope are aware of their future after football and the potential that can have. I would ask them to really consider their legacy.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like as an outside observer, the club also does a really great job of nurturing that sort of approach. I mean, no one club is immune to any unfortunate behaviours or any of those sorts of things, but thankfully, by and large, and I'm touching wood.
Oh, me too.
You know, we don't really hear of any nasty sort of stories emerge from the club or something that the players have done. That could be PR doing a sensational job, but it could be because of a byproduct of that culture that we hear spoken about so positively and fondly coming out of the Geelong Football Club.
Maybe. I think there are many
bit of both
layers and elements to what I agree with you on. I think that in this day and age, if there were dramas, we'd know about it, because unfortunately,
the social media age,
that's the world that we live in. That is the world that we live in, where these things come to light. And in the same manner that you and I are trying to educate our children, the internet never forgets. Be really aware. People have phones. People film things. It's all around you. So you've got to be so aware that this can come out, and greed and notoriety can make people do some really revolting things.
Yeah.
As you and I see every single day, and particularly it's in the news right now. And you've got to be aware of that. I think I kind of came on board with the Cats during a halcyon period as well. And one of the first people I met connected to the club was Frank Costa. And if that man's not a role model,
don't know who is.
My goodness. And I'm sure that for not even the players, but the supporters as well, we could look to him, and he was a guiding light. And then, of course, there was Cookie. There's been so many role models that really kept people in line. Possibly, I don't know, you tell me. But I think another layer is that we are, in a sense, and I love my Western United teams, and I think that predominantly where we are, it's a one-team town. So
yes.
we're hold you to account. We are going to hold you to account, and there's not a lot that you can get away with, and possibly also there's a lot of family in the area too that keep people not so much in line but nourished, for want of a better term. And I believe that certainly with the AFL specifically, when players are recruited at such a young age, that nourishment and guidance is fundamentally important, because people can go off the rails so easily.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think you're right. There's kind of a combination of all of those aspects. There's certainly an accountability thing. Geelong, if we focus on the Geelong Football Club specifically, it is a bubble. And the bulk of people in town will know who any one of the players is if they're walking down the road and do something they shouldn't, or whatever the case happens to be. And I'm sure that is kind of etched into the back of mind at all times. But you're right. I think that nourishment component is important too.
That's really true. But if I can add one other element as a world traveller, and somebody that's been on camera travelling the world for 26 years, I'm just going to throw in, and keep in mind, I'm a mum.
Yep.
You also need to be an ambassador for your country. You need to be an ambassador for yourself, for, in my case, my network, my show, my family. And I think you do need to keep that in mind when you're going overseas as well. So yeah, we can talk about the microcosm of Geelong, but I'm going to say to you, as someone that's considered, one of Australia's most prolific travellers, be really aware about how you behave beyond our shores as well.
Yeah.
And the mum in me and the dad in me would also just say, just remember you're an ambassador for your country as well.
Well, I mean, we've heard stories this year about players that have gone on international trips and have gotten themselves unstuck while they're there. And the controversy, you're not safe anywhere, really.
Yeah,
that sounds horrible, but there's...
No, it's not horrible.
Yeah.
It's not horrible. It is just the truth. Yeah. And it's not something that's recent. This is something that's been going on, since the beginning of time, really.
Yeah.
You and I could come up with 5 really famous cases, sporting stars alone, about their misbehaviour overseas. And I suppose I'm not perfect, definitely not perfect, but I'm going to be a mum right now and just remind everyone, really, just be aware. Just be aware this is something that can stick to you and your reputation for a long time. One silly movement, yes. And you know what? Do you know what makes me say that? I'll just give you my example.
Yep.
I just remember years ago going to Bali, and I just saw some young Australian girls who were off their faces. And this is a very religious country.
Yes.
Not to mention Ireland. And I just thought, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed that this is not the way all Australian women behave. I don't condone that behaviour. And I just remember thinking that to myself. And now here I am all these years later saying it to you. But it has another resonance in the context of what we're talking about today. And equally, me being a mum, just reminding anyone that's listening, just be aware.
Well, I mean, you're right. Then you were talking about the broader implications, and you were talking like these girls. Maybe there was no consequence for them at the time, for themselves personally. They might have got written themselves off, had a great time, come home, and gone on with their normal, whatever their normal day-to-day lives were after their trip. But there's a broader stereotype that starts to get formed, and a perception that is formed of anyone from Australia who travels over there, and that, as you said, it sticks. And it may not stick to them personally, but it sticks to us collectively.
You're quite right, and I don't want to go down this rabbit hole of it, but it does actually have broader consequences in regards to the way that Western women are treated, the way foreign men respect Western women or lack thereof, and that is a ripple effect that I've definitely seen, and it doesn't apply to all men in the way that they treat Western women, but my word, I have definitely seen the negative side of that as well. So yeah, you and I are talking about something that I saw in the distance that really made me shudder, and now makes me go, just be aware. When you are flying, just recently I said to you that I was flying over to the Arctic, and I remember flying into Dubai, United Arab Emirates,
yep.
which is incredibly strict in regards to how the locals behave, and
absolutely.
In regards to their policing. And I just remember seeing this girl getting on the plane, and I could see straight up her dress. She was wearing next to nothing, and it was hot, so I get it. But I just thought, far out, use your brain.
Bit of respect. Know where you're going.
Exactly.
Yeah. The old read the room sort of line that gets trotted out from time to time.
Yeah.
Now, this is obviously a hard pivot here, but to kind of, I guess, zero in our sporting sort of element of the show there. And you've touched on the fact that, perhaps travelled abroad more than anyone in this country, but you do have a love of the AFL. You do have a love of rugby as well. How do you manage to kind of connect with the games themselves? What does that look like? Because there won't be necessary consistency to, I think probably the one thing we can all be sure of is there's not necessarily a lot of consistency to your life, because you're going to be traveling here for differing amounts of time, different locations, different levels of access to. What was the internet like up there in the Arctic? Not flash, I'd imagine. Oh, really?
Yeah, it was actually okay. It was okay. It was the time zone. It was a time zone challenge. And so, leading on from what you're saying, I so appreciate, dare I say it, Twitter. And I get really happy when I'm following the Cats lead. I'm watching the game, following the scores, and they're not clear or up to date. I'm like, guys,
come on.
I'm on the outside of the world. Come on. And where there's a will, there's a way, which is so exciting. I think I don't know if I should say this, but I may be away for the grand final, and which kind of says everything about my level of confidence for the Cats. But
good or bad, that could be interpreted both ways.
Yeah. So, but I'm lining up all my ducks as to how I'm going to possibly watch the game if I can't be at the grounds.
Yeah.
In the flesh. But yeah, you're right. I suppose I'm also flying the flag for the supporter that can't always have the membership, that can't always
make it
be in the stands cheering. Equally, oh my goodness, I love it when I can make it to the game. I was at the most recent game.
West Coast.
Oh yeah, and our interpretation from the stands, it was like watching the Harlem Globetrotters. They were having a ball. It was just a joy to watch. And something that I have to say is I was listening to K-Rock on the way into the game, and I was taking my son in, and I just happened to catch a grab from, I think, Patrick Dangerfield's manager. I don't know if I've got that term right. And he was saying that Paddy brings joy to the game, whether it's the training, whether it's on the field, he brings joy to the game. And my son and I just happened to hear this one grab, and that has really stuck with the two of us. And I've said to my son, you want to be that guy at training. He is massively into sport, and we're like, you want to be like Paddy. Of course, my husband is, I'm sorry, but he's obsessed with the tomahawk. Obsessed.
I mean, Tom's a champion. I can appreciate that.
So cool. He is such a lovely person. He's everything that you could hope for in a player. Clearly a good breeder as well.
Yeah, they're doing okay.
Yeah, they're doing okay. And, I suppose I don't want to, I'm sorry to go on about it, but I will admit that to me, he is someone that it appears is aware of the legacy that he's creating. Where am I going next? What am I building? How do I really make this work for not just myself, but my family as well? I like that. I like that outlook. Yeah. But I of course, I'm just going to be a supporter now and just say, I got so lucky that my team ended up being the Cats, because it could have been Collingwood.
How did that nearly eventuate?
Because, well, I'll tell you the story really quickly. But I started out at GTV, and I'd never been to an AFL game at all. As I say, I grew up in Sydney, and my brother played rugby union.
Yep.
Sydney Uni Rugby Union. We've got our grand final this weekend. And
good luck.
So I didn't know anything about AFL, and I started GTV, and I kept seeing this guy walking down the hallways in these beautiful suits. And I'd see him every so often. I thought, that guy must work in sales. If he's wearing a suit like that, he must work in sales. And he'd
got those sales dolls.
He'd say hello. And I found out that his name was Eddie Maguire.
Oh, okay, right.
So I thought, oh, no, he's not in sales. No. I went, really? Because the suits? Oh. And I'm pretty sure he was born wearing a suit.
Quite likely.
He invited me to my first game. So he heard that I'd never been to a game. So he took me to my first game. Oh, I loved it. Absolutely loved it. So I would have been happy to go along that path. And
so when was this?
Pardon?
When was this roughly?
Okay. So, well, that would have been like over 20 years ago.
Yep.
If I think about it, it would have, maybe I was a Getaway, I can't remember. But so I've been with my husband for around 20 years. And so I accidentally fell in love with this local farmer. Big hands, he's hot. And he said to me, if this relationship is going to continue, you are going to have to develop an interest in AFL, and your team is going to be the Cats. And I was like, fine, cool, whatever.
Sounds like a similar conversation between myself and my now wife. She was an Essendon supporter. It just helped that when we met, she was a little bit bitten and scorned by the Essendon drug scandal, so she was pretty easy to flip at that point, I think.
Okay, well, that's what happened to me as well. You just got me on a good day. You just got me on a good day.
The timing was right.
But when I sort of came on board, we were doing really well, and we won a grand final. That's when I sort of came in, and I remember doing a Getaway story on Geelong. And as I say, I interviewed Tom Harley, and he had the cup, and then I think we were runners up, and then we won another one. And I was like, these grand finals are a walk in the park.
How easy is this?
How easy is this? And everyone outside of Geelong's going, you don't understand. This does not normally happen. Appreciate
talking about the drought prior.
Yes, yeah. So I didn't know anything about that. So I kind of, like your wife, I came in at a really good time. I say I was very spoiled. And then, of course, you and I would agree we got lucky with our team.
Yeah.
And as well. And now, as I've mentioned, now that I'm a mum, I feel like sort of saying, that's what we want, that we want
some of those qualities.
Bring our children to the game and not be embarrassed.
Yeah.
And not go, oh my God, I can't believe they just heard that. I mentioned that I've been able to go to quite a few games this year. I think it's saying something that I can let my children run around the stadium
without any concerns.
Yeah, I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, especially in 2022.
Right, exactly. I can see where they are. At the last game, my son was able to run onto the grounds, and I just said, "You're going to remember that for the rest of your life." That so much fun. But
I must say, I remember the first time that I got to do that, and but I guess I just summarise, like, I remember that still very, very clearly. Geelong and Richmond, MCG, and Dad cracked the gate open at the end, and out I ran, and I remember it very fondly.
I'm glad you say that, because that's what I thought. That's what I thought, and that's what I said to my little boy, and I'm sure that it meant nothing to him. He just wanted to go crazy and have fun, and
but he'll remember it.
I think he'll
one day. Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I'm looking forward, and I mean, we were discussing before the show started that, like, my kids are 2 and 4, so they're not quite at that point yet, but I can't. Well, sorry, nearly 2 and nearly 4, I should say. Like, I look forward. I cannot wait for that moment.
Oh, you just wait, because I have the photos of Andrew when it must have been the second premiership that we won, and he's a tiny little baby. He's dressed in all the clothes, and I've got all the photos. You've got the photos of your children. Yep. And I am pretty sure you'll be reminding them of those photos. You're
absolutely.
Out. And then, of course, we go down to the field and we celebrate. It's fun.
Yeah, there's a little bit in the back of my mind trying to work out, okay, how, like, if we make it, and there's an if component to the 2022 grand final. If we make it, if we're fortunate enough to make it, I'm like, okay, how do I get them there? I kind of think, okay, I'm an MCC member, so I can get in. Kids, I think under 5, it's just in for nothing. So, like, can I just scooch them in?
Okay, can I make a suggestion?
Go for it.
To throw this one out there from my experience is, you go to the actual game, look after yourself, be selfish, you look after yourself. They may not remember that, and you know what, you want to enjoy this moment. However,
hopefully
I can suggest as a parent is, you've got the celebrations after.
Yes,
and that's something that's really family oriented, and it's something that the whole town gets in on, regardless, win or lose, the whole town congregates together. So I'm going to speak up for you and say, if and when you go,
look after number one
moment, and if and when post celebrations, that's when
get the kids in
and you just have fun and you're relaxed and it's no stress.
Look, I mean, I must admit, while my brain is going, okay, how do I get them there? I think about the year that's played out, and again, I mean, they're nearly 2, nearly 4. I haven't been able to go to a game all year, despite I host a Geelong show. I completely immerse myself in it. The nature of the kids and where they're at, and kind of the family dynamic and those sorts of things, means I haven't been able to go all year. I've been banking the credits for this final series, so now it's cash in.
I hope you're not superstitious.
I'm,
because you know how I would interpret that.
Yeah, it's very easy. Like, if something goes pear-shaped on Saturday afternoon, I'll be blaming myself. Yes. There was a horrible circumstance back in 2008, talking about grand finals that we lost. I had my Geelong membership that year, and we only lost 2 games that year, as I'm sure everyone watching and listening recalls. We had one really out of nowhere loss to Collingwood by close to 100 points, and then ultimately the grand final. Yeah. I had my Geelong membership. It was on the lanyard, and for whatever reason, leading into the Geelong and Collingwood game, it broke in my pocket. Like, the membership card broke in my pocket, and we proceeded to get smashed that week. Now, I didn't think too much more of it, because it was just, we continued on our winning ways afterwards.
Yeah.
And then grand final week emerged, and I mean, I was going to the game, but like, the thing wasn't beyond repair. Like, I was able to kind of sticky tape it, held the barcode together, and I could still scan to get myself into the game.
You've really thought about
it. It completely fell apart grand final week. Like, the whole thing just broke into million. Now, I didn't need it.
It was the lanyard.
But that card broke again grand final week, and we lost again, and it was only upon reflection afterwards where I thought, Oh my God.
Paul, you've blown it.
Me and this lanyard are responsible for Ella.
Yeah, you've blown it for me because I'm so superstitious that now I'm like, you can't go.
Okay, Catriona, I'll stay at home.
Headphones on. You keep those headphones.
Just immerse myself.
You do what you do. You're great behind the mic. You just keep this going. Okay?
Keep your distance. Just don't go. Don't go under any circumstance.
And then I'll see you at the party post.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got my seats reserved, so I'll just abandon those. All right, we'll make it work. So, yeah, I mean, I guess that's really interesting because, yeah, the nature of your lifestyle being what it is, that, yeah, you wouldn't necessarily be around all that often. It's really interesting to see how you do manage to connect when you're back at home, but also when you're abroad. So,
yeah, where there's a will, there's a way. And I suppose I do want to say thank you to all of the people on the periphery that think maybe there's someone like me that's out there that can't be at the stadium, but maybe they're listening to me. Well, we we follow, and not all of us have the gift of being in the stadium and yell at our favorite players and cheer them on. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to all of those people like yourself who make us feel connected.
Well, remember, I won't be going because I don't want to screw it up for us.
I don't put that pressure on you now.
Yeah, no, your voice will be rattling around in my head all Saturday now.
You know, I just remembered something that I wanted to mention. And I was filming last week. We tried to catch up in Kalgoorlie and at the Super Pit, one of the greatest
very cool name for a place
in the world. And I went to Kalgoorlie, where, if you're wondering where all the workers in the world are, they're in Kalgoorlie. And I met the local mayor, and I, of course, I'm in WA. I apologize as soon as I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, sorry, not sorry for what we did to you. And he goes, oh no, I'm a cat supporter. I went, oh, really? How come? And he said, when I started out in politics, Polly Farmer, the former
Geelong great,
who is considered one of the greatest role models in sport, really, and they said that he was in town in WA, and they got him to give a speech. They said, oh, is there any chance that you could give a speech to our local community? And he said, of course, I'm around, I'll do it. And apparently he had such an impact on the individuals who were watching that this mayor, who had 4 sons, said, that's it, we're cat supported. Yep. Yeah. And I suppose that ties in with that element that I said at the start, is you never know who's watching. You never know who's watching. Think about your legacy. And sometimes the smallest act of kindness can resonate amongst other people for a lifetime.
Yeah, it's not. I guess the nature of our conversation early on was kind of about mitigating damage and ensuring that there's nothing that kind of nothing negative sticks. But the positive influence you can have as well is just as profound.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Polly's a great example of that, clearly.
Absolutely, and I'm sure everybody, regardless of their status, they have highs and lows, and I suppose in the context of what we're talking about, just be aware about the people who are watching, and I know that for me, sometimes I think maybe one person's listening, and I know that every time I do a piece to camera, or equally every time I am out in public, I'm aware that I want to be clear with my information. I want to maximize this moment, and here I am sharing a story about the mayor of Kalgoorlie, one of the most successful towns in Australia. And he said, I had a moment to listen to this Indigenous player speak, and he had such an effect on me. And I was also saying, gosh, I just happened to listen to Video Hits when I was 14, and there was a basketballer going, my dad taught me, make your passion your profession. Tom Brady, I'm a huge fan of Tom Brady, as I know so many people watching right now are.
Yep.
His dad is his greatest role model. And I feel that he's obviously as the world knows, had his highs and lows, but he is someone that is really at one with milking his talent, his physicality, getting the most out of his body and longevity. Yep. And he is really at one with the legacy that he's creating.
Yeah, I think that whole aspect about the putting something positive back out there is a really important thing, and that I guess for anyone watching and listening, yes, we're talking about some really successful people here who've applied that mindset and been incredibly successful, but that does apply and work for all of us on the smaller scale sort of level as well. I mean, I think about, and obviously we mentioned before, like I'm a teacher, and so there's at any given hour in a day, there's 25 teenagers looking back at me, and it's a combination of all the small things that you do that can really. I'd like to think that there's lives that have been changed, not just on an academic side, but hopefully gotten someone out of that rut that could have gone God knows where, and maybe just helped them remain on track, or something you don't even necessarily think about, but because you're applying yourself in a certain way, you're having that positive impact.
I'm really investing so much in our male teachers and saying thank you, because okay, in my case, my son has just turned 13, and I didn't even know who that kid is in front of me. Like he's so awkward. He is trying to find his place, and I've read all the books, and I know that they pull away from their mothers right now, and they need those male role models, and I need those male teachers, and truly, just today, I know there's a specific. He's just started doing this thing called food tech.
Yep.
I mean, he started making jam, and he's really into it. And for me, as someone that knows, gosh, he really needs those male role models, I want to contact the teacher and go, please step up for my child, because you mentioned the 25. I'm saying to you and to anyone that's watching, just think about the one child.
Exactly.
Be able to alter. And I also mentioned to you, when I was just starting out, I had this cataclysmic situation that has affected me for the rest of my life, where I had one headmistress go, you're never going to amount to anything. And that horrible situation led me to a principal, and he said to me, well, you like English, you like speech and drama, you never know, one day you could get paid for it. And that is something that also, I was very close to my grandmother, and that's a message that I really want to remind people of, is that sometimes you just need one cheerleader, and maybe a teacher, and maybe it's a grandmother, maybe it's just one. That's all you need. But I'll be honest with you, right now, I'm really challenged by my son, and I'm looking for those role models. And I mentioned to you, I just happened to catch one grab on K-Rock about Paddy that said he brings joy to the game, and let me tell you, that line,
it's had.
Oh yeah. And on the weekend I watched my son play sport, and I felt like he was emulating Paddy. He was joyful, he was supporting his teammates, and as I say, that was just this tiny little line the manager said about what he interpreted from Paddy.
And yeah, look at the difference that it's made. It can be really the small things. And I guess, like, cycling back to that teacher principal experience, like, these two people were looking at the exact same person, the exact same qualities, the exact same skill sets, and had two very different ways of interpreting that. Yeah. And look at the impact that it's had. It's really, really important.
And I would also add to that, be really careful who you listen to, and whether that is a player. I would strongly recommend, do not have social media.
Yeah.
Do not have social media, because that will do your brain in. Your self-esteem does not need that. And let me tell you, in regards to advertising and everything, don't worry, you don't need it. You need to focus on the here and now for that. But equally, be really careful who you listen to, because I could have gone down a really negative path, but I had, as I mentioned, just one person back me, and I'd be really aware. Your teacher, you're in such a position of responsibility.
Absolutely.
That little story I mentioned about the mayor saying he just happened to have this connection with Polly Farmer, and it changed his life. It totally changed his life. And I suppose it's really important, actually, that even though I think I'm a dag for verbalizing that, I'm really glad that I have this opportunity, that maybe, as I say, one person could hear this, and just to be a reminder to choose kindness, and be really careful with the words that you use and the way that you behave.
I mean, the reality is, if we all carry ourselves in this way and we all affect one person each, then hopefully it's me painting with the broadest brush possible, but that's a lot of the world's problems solved in that one instance. If everyone just does good and affects one person.
I'm going to extend that to a travel situation, and obviously I've seen a lot come and go over the last 26 years internationally, and I went to Russia. I'll just say I went to Russia and I loved it. I love the people. I love the food. And so with the current situation, I collect fridge magnets, as you do.
Yep.
And I refuse to take off my fridge the I Love Russia fridge magnet. And people are like, oh, really? And they make a sweeping statement, oh, how can you love Russia? And I just say, you cannot condemn a nation for the dickhead that's in charge.
One individual, yeah.
Right, that's right. And so that's, just a different way of looking at what we're talking about now. You can have one dickhead.
Yeah.
But don't use that broader brush to negatively
impact others. Yeah.
And just focus on the here and now and the one.
Yeah, that's this is certainly the most profound conversation I think I've had on this show so far, continuously. So thank you very much for this. It's been fantastic, and hopefully, as you've discussed a few times, hopefully there is someone on the other end of this podcast or video that has heard those words and is hopefully looking to apply all the positive aspects of what we've discussed.
Well, I didn't intend for this to be a profound chat, but
it's awesome.
I do listen to you and what you do, and obviously I'm a fan. I mentioned I've rose-coloured glasses on too, and I just thought, well, what can I bring to this conversation? Because I can't talk about state of play.
Yeah.
I muddle my names and all of that. I love all the players, but I thought, well, what can a woman bring to this conversation? What can a mother bring to this conversation? What can a traveller bring to this conversation? So I didn't mean for it to be profound, but
I'm thrilled that it has been.
That by you asking all of the sorts of different people that come onto this show, we can all bring something different to it. And certainly I would just like to be a reminder that Geelong is very fortunate to have such a strong female support base, and anyone involved in sport, whether you are employing, whether you are playing, just I would like to remind people about how powerful mothers are.
And please don't underestimate that, people.
That's true. And equally, I just wanted to make that little mention to our incredible players. Every time you walk out onto the field, you are a warrior, be a role model, and think about the lasting legacy that you're having.
And speaking of those warriors, as we start to wind things down, who is that greatest Geelong warrior that you've seen?
Oh, gosh.
Is there anyone that really sticks out? We've discussed Paddy, we've discussed Tom. There's our one, you've just mentioned Tom Harley recently. There's some incredible leaders that we've had, incredible players that don't have that leadership title, but have been incredible leaders for the club as well. Is there anyone that really sticks out?
When I started watching the game, I really enjoyed watching Cam Mooney. I used to love going to the game going, Mooney.
And crossing your fingers that he didn't club someone.
So I probably can't say one. I mentioned that I'm grateful that we have players like Paddy who seem to embrace the joy and get the fact that kids are watching.
There's always a smirk on his face.
True, love. I am thrilled that Tom Hawke has a nice haircut, because I just want my son to have a haircut like that. And then also I do just want to make mention as we're winding things up. I'm really proud of the young players that we've got coming through.
Yes.
And it's really exciting. It's really exciting. Yeah.
I mean, segueing off that, who is that next? Like, is there one particular player in that next gen crop that you've kind of got a closer eye on that you think's the one that we need to build around?
Yeah, there's two players that I think are really cool. Now, help me with my names here, but I'm quite fascinated by Stengel.
Stengel, yes, Tyson Stengel, yep.
The thing that's interesting, I think, with him is he is just cool hand Luke, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like, he will do the most extraordinary goal, and unlike...
Doesn't make a fuss.
Unlike Jeremy Cameron, who it's like, I've just won Tats Lotto every time he gets a goal. He's so cool. He's so relaxed, and he goes back to business.
Exactly. It's like, you saw that? Yeah, great. Watch me do it again.
Yeah, I love that. And then someone, okay, I won't go on too much, I promise, but somebody that I feel proud of and I'm intrigued by is the really tall blonde player, young.
Sam De Koning.
Thanks. And I was really intrigued that he's got a brother that's playing
for Carlton.
And it's like, life can just throw you the most incredible opportunities, cards. We all take different paths. But I must say that I like the way he carries himself, and I inspires me about the future of our team.
Yeah, I think the whole AFL world really thinks quite highly of him, as kind of reflected in his recent second place positioning in the AFL Rising Star. They think he's a brilliant player, but he really does seem like he carries himself in all the right ways as well. And I think there's a brilliant future ahead for him and his time, hopefully at Geelong, one club player, all of that sort of stuff, right? He's not leaving.
Wow, milk it.
Yeah, we're not losing him either. We're hanging on for dear life.
I hope so, but you know what? So, Kate, can I just say, I know I talk a lot.
No.
Rein me in. But I will say this one other thing that I like a little feather in our cap is something we've got on our side is travel hat on here, but we have an awesome location and community. And so there you are saying, I hope that we can hold on to him. Equally, something that we have to embrace, whether it's councillors watching now, politicians, or locals, something we have to embrace is we live in this remarkable area, and it can play into our favour on so many different levels. And I really love that fact that for a lot of players, they love the beaches, they love the community, they love the food, they love surfing, they love the way the locals are respectful of them and keep their distance. Or
that's how we got Jeremy Cameron coming over.
Hello, yeah. So that is an ace up our sleeve, isn't it?
It's a unique quality that Geelong has. It's really not. I mean, it's not measurable by the traditional AFL stats, metrics that we have. It's something completely standalone that is very uniquely Geelong, and hopefully continues to help service positively into the future.
That's up to us.
Exactly.
That is up to us. But yeah, I think that certainly as a travel reporter, I love that. I love that element about where we live.
How do you... I mean, we are here, we're recording just on the eve of finals. In fact, as we speak right now, we've got Brisbane and Richmond playing in a final. Geelong and Collingwood is this weekend. The outlook for the finals, what are you thinking? Can we go all the way? Will we go all the way? Where's your head at?
We're there. We've won.
Unless I go, of course.
No, we're there.
At which point it's all over.
We've won.
Okay, so I'm not going to impact it then, so I can go on the weekend.
I didn't say that.
Yeah, okay, right.
No, actually, do you know what? Get it out of your system. Get it out of your system now.
Now's the time when we can afford to lose one.
Exactly. So if we lose, you know what that means?
I can't go for the rest of the finals. That's it. It's over.
Exactly. However, I can't sit here and say to you guys, I want you to, anything is possible. I want you to think about the future and your legacy and then go, oh, I'm worried. No way. We're there. We're holding. Do you know
holding
what
the cup?
what we're doing. This is something that happened the last time that we won. We fly the Cats flag on our property. And
Awesome.
when they do the tour of the cup, you know how they do that?
Yes, yep.
Do the tour, they came onto our property, and we have all of these photos of my son. This is this sitting in the cup.
Of course, yeah, he would have been that small at the time.
Right. So that's what I'm projecting to. It's they're touring the cup. It's coming to our property. We have won.
So can you just let me know when they're going to do that tour, and I'll bring my kids over and pop them inside the cup?
For sure.
You're a star. Yeah. Thank you. Exactly. So as we wind things up, we've mentioned 26 incredible years of Getaway, still going strong. We've just been in the Arctic. What should people be looking out for next from you in terms of where are you off to next that we can talk about?
Right now I'm filming a new show that was created through COVID, and it's called Country House Hunters. It was just meant to be a little show on 9 Life, and it's pretty much
it's grown.
An emulation of my life, where people have left the city, moved to a regional area, and are living their best life. And I was asked to host it during lockdown. Let's see how we go. People kind of love, for example, moving to Geelong, moving down to the coast. At the moment, I'm in Orange. Just flew in from Kalgoorlie. So I've got that show going. I've got Getaway happening, and I'm just going for it.
There are more and more people looking for that country air and that change of setting in those, and not just in terms of their real life, but also on their television screens. I guess I speak as someone who lives in the town where the block is currently being recorded. That's where I live, and I work only 5 minutes away from where all the building's been going on, and you see the look. It's a country town. It's a large-ish country town, but yeah, and you see the people coming through town like, oh, hang on, I see the impact this is having, and you see the interest that's built, and it's really fascinating. And it's great to see that shows such as The Block, such as what you're doing there, that are shining a spotlight on these other regions that typically don't get thought of up front.
Yeah, that's true. But technology has changed everything. And I remember I didn't want to get married. I didn't want to leave my family to move to the farm. But my boss said, as long as you can get to an airport, I don't care where you live. At that time, Avalon Airport was just opening up. I love Avalon Airport. I know airports. That is one of the best airports in the world, truly. And now, dare I say it, but the world has caught up. COVID has kicked us all along at rapid speed. And for example, the couple that I was filming with today, they're a young couple, and the girl is a graphic designer who can work from home. And
that's
so
great.
as we were looking at, she was going, I could do a home office right there. So yeah, technology has changed everything. However, just a little reminder, you're living the dream.
Yeah. So enjoy it.
Enjoy it.
And as we wrap it up now, I feel like I've said that several times so far, but as we wrap things up now,
Sorry.
No. Like, it's just we're closing it. Oh no, hang on, we're closing it now. No, that's not a you thing. So as we are wrapping things up, we were discussing social media before. If people are looking to get a little bit of insight into what you're up to, where should people follow you at or be in touch through?
Thank you. I really enjoy Instagram, and that's under my name. I mentioned I'm on Twitter, and truly that's just so I can follow the Cats.
The footy.
I can follow my games. And I'm on Facebook as well, but I really enjoy Instagram, and that's changed so much in regards to what happened over COVID. Because can you imagine being a travel reporter on an international travel show sponsored by a cruise company through COVID?
Unable to travel, yeah.
It was tough. It was really tough. And my work went, you're going to have to start filming the show openers in the garden and on your phone. And look at us now.
Improvise, yeah.
And I said, there's no way you can do this on my phone. And I think I actually
nailed it.
But I said the same thing to you about this interview. I went, I've only got my phone. I didn't bring my computer with me. And you're like, that's fine. It's cool.
And look what we've made out of it. We've gone for more than an hour so far. It's been a fantastic conversation. As I've mentioned multiple times, the most profound thing. And if you're looking for any really profound commentary, people, as Catriona just mentioned, the Instagram handle is there. If you're watching the video version, it is right above her head as we speak. So make sure to chuck a follow, and I'm sure enjoy the incredible photos that are going to appear from all the fascinating places that you go to. Look forward to being able to wax about what is hopefully Geelong's success, unless I attend the grand final apparently.
Don't say that.
So let's just hope it goes well this Saturday, because then I can attend the rest of the finals without fear at that point. At least knowing that it's not me.
No pressure.
No pressure. Oh, I'll be just sitting there peering through the fingers the entire game, wondering if it's me.
That's not how we watch the games.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, although as I mentioned, the last one was like the Harlem Globetrotters, but I genuinely would just like to say thank you so much. One, to our incredible community for allowing me to move and to feel as though I've landed on my feet in regards to the community that I've moved into, and I have to say, please keep supporting our farmers and buying local, and I could not be prouder of our team, and I love our captain as well. He's everything that we could ask for in a captain in regards to being a role model. He looks like Cool Hand Luke, and he's got
for sure.
I adore him, and he appears to be a really nice guy as well. But I think we're so fortunate. So to all of our supporters, we really are blessed. Let's get behind our team and our community, and appreciate what we have.
Yes, Cats fans, we are 24 hours away. As of when this goes live, we are 24 hours away from the game. So please make sure, if you're going to be there at the ground on the weekend, be as noisy, as loud as you can. Drown out all those Pie supporters. Catriona was nearly one of them. She saw the light and came across. So just make sure to remind them of that.
The guy from sales.
Yeah, exactly. Sucked in, Eddie. But also... but also to those watching and or listening, please make sure, if you're not already doing so, subscribe to the Hoop Show on YouTube. That way you've got access to this, as well as heaps of awesome other products that Ben is largely putting together on the platform there. Subscribe to the Behind the Play podcast feed, where you can access this episode as well as every other the moment they go live in the future. And again, Catriona, thank you so much for coming on the show and sharing this love of the Cats, sharing so many wonderful insights from your career so far. And I, for one, can't wait to see what comes next.
Thank you so much, and you do a wonderful job, and thank you for giving me time tonight. Good luck, everyone.
Cats fans, remain Geelong strong, and hopefully we're talking next week following a win.